Headed for the mountain, soldiers scoured the base camp, zipping and unzipping tents, hunting for any Tibetans hiding amongst the mountaineers.
One of the kitchen boys comes and says, "Somebody know the toilet?" I just went for my camera straight away. There were like Chinese border police 30 meters away, and I just kept going.
În toaleta din spatele meu ați văzut, este un tibetan care stă ascuns de trupele chinezești. A reușit să fugă în partea asta. You wanted to go to Dalai Lama and the Chinese troops just shoot you.
The half-frozen Tibetan was 28-year-old farmer Lobsang Chönden. He was escaping Tibet to see the Dalai Lama.
We'll figure something out. Stay here.
There was a bag of paper that Englishmen used to wipe their backsides after going to the toilet. It was full of used ones. I just hugged it and lay down. I didn't mind the filth. It kept me warm. Honestly, I was hugging a bag of shit.
Everybody stopped. No, don't do anything. Leave him alone. Don't get involved in it. And I said, just show me where's the leftovers from our breakfast, right now.
While the reluctant kitchen staff prepared food for Lobsang Chönden stranded in the toilet tent, other climbers secretly filmed as the Chinese border police led their captives through the camp.
A group of children were walked through camp, aged 6 to 10 to 12. They were taken straight into the Chinese camp and put in one of their big dome tents. They were certainly under guard. There was no doubt about that. They looked very frightened. That upset me more than anything, because that's the same age as my son. My son was 9 at the time. So more soldiers came into camp, and they went straight into the Chinese camp, which was right next to us. They were basically kids. They looked like late teens, early 20s, which in my mind made them particularly dangerous, because kids with Kalashnikovs are more dangerous than 40-year-olds with Kalashnikovs, as far as I'm concerned.
As the Tibetan prisoners were marched off to waiting trucks, the Chinese border police turned their attention to Kelsang Namtso's body that lay freezing in the snow.
The way they checked the body was basically just go and kick it. And they picked up what we could now find out was a bag, because we could see when they came back.
That's the part that actually Kelsang made it, dragging herself from this point to here. That's Kelsang's path. I couldn't film that. I just couldn't film that. Honestly, I reckon she was still alive, or she could have been still saved when the Chinese border patrol got to her. They were taking photos with Kelsang's body, like, you know, that hunting picture.
The body was left there until about 2:30 the following afternoon. Just left out there the whole time.
Secretly filming from his tent, Sergiu noticed fewer police guarding the camp. It was a chance to rescue Lobsang Chönden, the Tibetan who was still hiding in the toilet.
And I just went to the toilet, unzipped the tent, and I told Jordan, come out.
You go to the... No, don't worry. We'll go and bring you clothes, and you'll come into the kitchen. Okay? Like a cook, right?
He put his arm around me and took me to their tent. There he gave me warm food and dry clothes.
and I just watched constantly. There was a Chinese patrol going up and down the glacier, and when they went back, I told Jordan, if you want to go now, go. Don't get shot. I just looked at him going down under the ridge, and never saw him again.
Committed to telling his story to the world, Lobsang Chöndön painted a dramatic picture of his escape.
The police stood guard right here. As I crawled along the path to the top of the pass, when I got to the border, I was so happy. I prayed out loud, 3 jewels and His Holiness, thank you. Finally, I got your blessing. I shouted out. Then all of a sudden, I was afraid the Chinese might hear me. So I ran away downhill, so fast that I was tumbling and falling.
The following day, it was surreal. They held, it's almost like a presentation ceremony. They were all lined up, and presumably the 2 guys who had done the shooting were stood at the right-hand end. I got the impression they were congratulating them on a job well done. That was the impression I got.
Above Camp 1, Luis and his 2 clients pushed higher.
Sebastian, Scott, and I started up towards Camp 2. And again, just heavy feet. Just heavy feet.
Luis was a different person when he arrived at Camp 2. There was lots of victims in Choi Yu base camp that day, not just the people that were shot. There were lots of victims, and I think Luis was one of the victims of that shooting.
Struggling with the altitude, one of Luis's clients decided he had had enough.
At that point, I turned downhill with Scott, and Paul stayed to leave for the summit the next morning with Sebastian and the Sherpas.
While other climbers fulfilled their dream, reaching the summit of Mount Cho Oyu, a few thousand meters below, 14-year-old Jamyang was held captive in a Chinese jail.
They tortured us for 3 whole days. If they didn't like what we said, they used an electric cattle prod. I have scars here where they zapped me. I really thought they might kill me.
On return to base camp, 3 days after the shooting, Luis Benitez was keen to hear what action had been taken.
And I'm kind of wandering around camp and looking, and it's business as usual.
Rumors were spreading around the camp. Everyone had a different version of the story and of the body count.
2 Tibetan people died down there, and the 1 Tibetan girl also died there.
Luis was astonished that apparently no one had reported the shooting to the outside world.
And I get on the satellite phone to a good friend of mine who runs an adventure website. And I say, can you believe what happened here? This is crazy. And he said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Shooting? Who got shot? What are you talking about? What's going on? And I was just furious. Over 100 people watched that happen. And I know for a fact that at least 75% of the people had satellite communication equipment. This atrocity of silence, in my opinion, far outweighed the actual atrocity of the act. There seemed to be this unspoken rule to not make trouble and to not make waves. And I said, stay by your computer. I'm going to send you a story that needs to go up immediately.